Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
And I'm the world's second ugliest vampire.
And I am Gangrel.
Welcome to episode 317, WWF Monday Night RAW.
Supposedly Raw's war.
After 8 o'clock.
After 8 o'clock.
Yes.
We'll get there. Right, what is it now? What is it before it's war? A skirmish?
Wait, no, I guess it is.
Just a zone.
Raw is war, and then it goes to the war zone. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Never mind. It is Raw is war.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But it's a go-home show.
So this is the 274th Raw produced by the WWF. It would take place on August 24th, 1998 from the Core State Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with a TV rating of 4.7.
Ooh.
In contrast, Nitro that week had a 5.2.
Wild, considering every Raw opens and closes with Stone Cold Steve Austin at this point. But I guess maybe that might be why, because people are like, well, we know when he's going to show up.
Well, we got Goldberg.
But as a kid, I didn't even catch that. I was like waiting for like the shit to happen, not too dumb to realize it's like, oh yeah, start hot, and then like end hot, and then the different hours.
See, I'm convinced either Nitro rating was that high because they merged the ratings of the two shows together into one, or people were just that dumb and didn't realize that, hey, I can watch one and then I can watch the other one on a replay immediately after this one is over.
Also, we were forgetting that Goldberg kind of recently became champion and is like hot as hell right now.
Yep.
Even though
he is,
we're not the world's biggest Goldberg fans.
Yeah.
The world was a pretty big Goldberg fan.
For some reason.
You could get his shirts at Academy. I think I might have.
Oh, he's fancy it like that, huh?
Yeah.
Academy.
I mean, I think this was before Walmart was carrying tons of graphic tees in 98 or whatever. But
we are in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we are.
So Shane, did you do what you do?
Oh boy, did I. Yes, we are back in Philly. Not with ECW, but with the Fed itself, WWF. Sorry, E. Yes, it's the day after my... Yeah, it's still the F. They haven't gotten the F out yet. Still got a few more years before they get the F out. But this show, the day after my 21st birthday, live on Monday Night Raw from Philly. So I did what I do, and I didn't do what I do in the sense that I got on Google because we've been to Philadelphia enough. I don't need to look on Google anymore for shit when it comes to Philly unless I'm just looking up a recipe because we're pros on Philly, especially with this featured Philly item here because we haven't really had, as I remember, we haven't had a Philly in 2025 yet.
It's been a while since we've had one.
So, found a new spot that popped up on my my Philly radar here in Oklahoma City. It is called Fill Me Up Cheesesteaks. It's located in the Collective here in Oklahoma City, which is a place that has like 6 or 7 different things.
I've actually had their food truck.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
I have not, so this one was brand new for me. But yeah, they've got Phillies, they've got Philly fries, they've got pickle chips, they've got what's known as a Philly cheese balls, which is mozzarella provolone cheese blend, hand rolled and breaded and deep fried. It's served with ranch. They've got Philly style tacos. I almost got those. But I figured we haven't had an actual Philly sandwich in a while, so let's do the Philly. This one is their MVP.
they don't have a Philly egg roll?
No egg rolls at this one, no. There we go. The most valuable Philly. MVP. The sandwich has it all. I feel like Stefan from New York. Saturday Night Live. This Philly has it all. Fresh cooked steak with caramelized onions, roasted peppers, and mushrooms topped with melted provolone cheese and our traditional cheddar whiz. It's probably better when it's warm, but I didn't take a bite of it when it was warm because I sat here and talked instead. It looks pretty simple. Your meat, your cheese, your mushrooms. I don't really see too much onion or anything like that on there, so they could fill me up a little bit more with onions.
It's been almost 2 years since we've had a cheesesteak.
Jeez.
I mean, you can't do them every time we go to Philly.
No.
We don't go to Philly quite as often.
No.
As we used to.
When we first started going to Philly, I felt like we did quite a few cheesesteaks because we did a cheesesteak from one place, then we did a cheesesteak combo, like where they were battling it out for When Worlds Collide or something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, I knew it had been a little while since we had one. Yeah, Fill Me Up. They look good when they arrived. They look like they need a little more something to them, though. But I haven't taken a bite yet, so I'm just going to take a bite real fast so I can give a full opinion. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It's your basic Philly.
It's not the worst Philly we've tried.
I don't taste the cheese whiz, though.
That's what I was going to say. Is like maybe they forgot it, or maybe it just like disappeared.
Absorbed into the roll.
Absorbed, yeah. But
Yep.
I feel like it's a thing that just outside of the East Coast, it's like, does anybody do a Philly, right?
What was that place called? Philly Homa? They were the closest that I've had to where it was like I could eat these all the time, but then they shut down within like 6 months of being open. So maybe everybody thought that and we just ran them out.
I could just be crazy and I haven't been to Philadelphia, so maybe they're like, it's like a Philly is just kind of a Philly, kind of like with a hamburger. It's like a good hamburger is good, but like
I'm not going to stand by this opinion because it's someone else's completely. But you have the two major
Pat's and Geno's
in Philly, and I heard an interview with someone the other day, and they're just like, I wouldn't go to either place.
Mm-hmm. That's a common thing for Philly guys. I listen to a lot of shows that are guys that live in Philly, and for the most part, it sounds like it's like, well, hoagie shops are big. Of course, there's Wawa, which is a trashy sandwich from a gas station, but when it comes to Phillies, it's like nobody actually goes to those places that grew up there. And it's not that they're bad; it's just that it's like not worth the hassle because you can get a good cheesesteak basically anywhere.
I think it was an ECW guy, and he literally said that the place that was just down the street from the 2300 arena,
was his
favorite cheesesteak place, and that's not the best part of town either. So
I mean, it's like with the Onion Burger here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
I finally went out to El Reno and tried all the ones out there. I still haven't tried Roberts, I guess, but yeah,
it's hard to fuck up an onion burger.
It's hard to fuck up an onion burger, but some of them just don't live up to the hype that everybody's like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. And then I tried it and I was like, well, yeah, it's okay, but they didn't add enough seasoning, or I can taste that there's no salt on this burger.
Or it's too salty, which is a problem.
Some of it is just nostalgia. I used to go there with my pawpaw back in the day, so this is my favorite one.
But this is, like I said, not the worst Philly we've tried.
No, we had one before. I don't remember where it was, but it was not good.
I mean, like I said, I've had the food truck before, and it was very good.
Yeah, it's probably better
straight off the truck.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's hot and fresh off the truck, this one was door dashed, and then it sat for a good 20 minutes before we even opened the box to get to it. So yeah, I'd try them again. I'd go to the Collective and go to whichever place and have a beer, and then come and grab me a cheesesteak from here. Maybe go and have wings from another spot. But yeah, if you're ever in Oklahoma City, check out the Collective. Check out Fill Me Up Cheesesteaks on the edge of downtown.
Well, something that would happen right around the same time as this Raw, Lauryn Hill would release her debut album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Woo! I mean, yeah, huge record, huge song. Didn't it win like every damn award?
It won lots of Grammys that year. I think she won Best New Artist, and even though she wasn't technically a new artist, she was a new solo artist.
Yeah. She's like, it's her and like Erykah Badu. I know they're like pretty different, but they're both people that are kind of like, everybody wants more from them, and they just kind of like rarely show up. And it's like, if they would just get out of their own way, they could like be doing.
Erykah shows up way more than Lauryn does.
Yeah, that's true. What was because the first single was a huge hit.
Doo-wop that thing.
Doo-wop, yeah.
Great song.
That was kind of the. I mean, there was a couple other songs on there. Everything is Everything, but.
Oh yeah, okay. Because I was gonna ask, it's like, what were the other singles? Because I've listened to the record, and it's a great record from beginning to end.
X-Factor was the other one. Yeah, there was 3 singles off.
Okay. I don't remember X Factor, but I remember listening to this record and being like, oh, this is great. It's a good listen through, but it's there's some records where like they drop like 8 singles off of, and this was not an album where that happened, but everybody agreed that the record was good.
It said Lauryn Hill had 10 Grammy nominations at the 41st Annual Grammy Awards, which marked the most Grammy nominations in a single ceremony for a woman. She won 5. She became the female artist with the most wins in a single ceremony, at least at that time. I'm not for sure if it's been topped since then.
I'm sure probably
album of the year, best R&B album, best new artist, best R&B song, best female R&B vocal performance, all for Doo Wop That Thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this note, I was like, oh, I should listen to that in this year of our Lord 2025.
And so that song is always on rotation on my playlist.
It's a great song.
Legend made his commercial debut on Everything Is Everything.
Oh, really?
Player.
The also that video was great, and I think that helped a lot because videos were still big at that point in time.
Oh yeah,
the video was incredible. But yeah, Everything Is Everything. I totally forgot about that one.
I mean, Lauren had the big following from the Fugees, and
I mean, what's funny is that the
Sister Act
Fugees.
2.
Yeah, Sister Act 2, great. The Fugees, it's like their biggest song is almost just a cover with. It's like basically just the song with like 1.5 rap verses.
Yep.
It's like, well, the song was already
One
great.
time.
Yeah. It's like that song was already incredible. Everybody already agreed that was a great song, but it hadn't been, it'd been 30 years since it came out, so.
Let's see.
Was it
2 time.
Was it Gloria Gaynor was the original, right?
Gloria Gaynor was I Will Survive.
Oh.
Killing Me Softly was Roberta Flack?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
I was like, someone says the name, I'm gonna go. Like, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, that. Also, every time I think of the Fugees, I think of the Zach Galifianakis bit, Fugees and Funyuns.
I don't remember that one.
I don't. It may have been off the Purple Onion. I don't know. It was a bit where he like kind of played his like brother, and he did like a weird brother character, and they were like very different. But the only thing they could agree on was that they liked the Fugees and they both liked Funyuns. Yeah, so he's like doing a silly voice, and like the only thing we can really agree on is just Fugees and Funyuns.
So Killing Me Softly with his song was actually a Lori Lieberman song that was covered by Roberta Flack.
Okay.
But that was the famous one.
The Lori Lieberman one never charted.
Nope.
And then literally the next year, Roberta Flack released it. And
So Lieberman's more of a songwriter than a performer.
Probably so.
That's nothing wrong with that.
I remember Lauryn Hill way, way, way back in the day on As the World Turns. I didn't realize that's who she was back then, and then once she became Lauryn Hill, and it was like, oh yeah, she was on As the World Turns. She played a troubled youth.
well, enough about Lauryn Hill.
That's right. If you haven't listened to it, go Doo Wop That Thing.
Let's talk some Monday Night Raw.
Get it.
Kane and the Undertaker walk into the building together. We then cut to the WWF Attitude opening before Jim Ross welcomes us to the show, joined by Michael Cole on commentary.
Don't forget the pyro. It's pyro era.
And the brothers make their way to the ring, even though JR says Mankind at one point.
Bong.
Followed by Vince McMahon joining them, giddy to tell everyone how he was right. Mr. McMahon continues that with the Big Red Machine at his side, the Dead Man will become the next champ at SummerSlam. But sometime down the road, you will need Vince's advice and guidance. McMahon then demands that he wants an answer on whether or not they will be friend or foe, when Paul Bearer comes down to the ring. And Paul wants Kane to tell him that this is all a lie and a nightmare. He is his father and always been there for him. His mother never loved him, even calling her a whore, which forces the Big Red Machine to hold back Taker. Bearer continues that Undertaker is deceitful and he wants Kane to do one more thing. Destroy the Dead Man. Only for the Big Red Machine to turn his back, allowing Taker to beat down Paul.
Damn near kicked off his head.
Mankind runs down to protect Bearer, but he gets beaten down by both brothers, followed by a spike tombstone. Vince then reminds Undertaker that there is only one man left standing between him and the belt. That one man is quaking in his boots when the glass breaks and out comes Stone Cold. And he's standing at the top of the ramp when a wall of fire spurts up, which kind of like freaks him out for a second.
I mean, yeah, it's a good visual effect. Like up the catwalk, it's kind of like, in a movie where they do like a line of gas and then throw the match or whatever, but it's just like perfect line of gas right up the middle of the catwalk. It's like, it must have been a pain in the ass for whoever had to rig that up.
Stone Cold has a mic and says he knew all along they were together. Even got all choked up during their family reunion. And that he doesn't appreciate nearly getting set on fire. And Austin continues that it will take a hell of an effort to beat the Dead Man, and doesn't have much of a chance against both. Therefore, you better have eyes in the back of your heads, because Stone Cold's taking someone out tonight. That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
The crowd says it with him. They've been on board, but they are still on board.
Ain't stopping them.
And the amount of times that they want the glass to break on these shows, they're like, all right, glass break, we're going to play this riff again. I love that in Vince McMahon's promo, he says that Undertaker and Kane have finally came out of the casket.
Yes.
Which, knowing or at least having assumptions about the mind of Vince McMahon, it's just like, in his mind, he's just trying to cut them down a little bit.
That's good shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Ross and the King talk about the matches we'll see tonight before mentioning that there is a cell high above the ring.
On a Monday, that's about as exciting as it gets when you tune in 98 on a Raw. It doesn't. Yeah, it's like, my parents pay for the cable. This doesn't cost me anything, and we might have a cage match tonight.
They have no clue what it's for.
No.
We then go to our first match: Ken Shamrock versus Dan Severn.
I guess WWF is out on Dan Severn as they're using this on a Raw first match.
Curtain jerker.
So Shamrock makes his way to the ring, but he rolls out to yell at our commentators before we go to break. And we come back to footage of the spiked tombstone from earlier, followed by Mankind being loaded into an ambulance. We then get footage from last week's Raw, where Dan would wait for the perfect moment during a triple threat match that included Owen Hart to choke out Ken before doing the same to Steve Blackman, who had come out to help Shamrock. Now once Severn's in the ring, Ken goes right after him with a kick, only for Dan to duck, slamming his opponent down and working the leg. But Shamrock counters into a submission move of his own. Back and forth action continues with each trying to work the other's leg with holds, when Severn takes control with a powerbomb, only to refuse to make a cover. And Dan keeps up the attack with a front suplex, a fireman carry takeover into an armbar, but Shamrock rolls through into a hip toss that sends him into the ropes, forcing a break, only for Ken to ignore and slug away momentarily. Saturn reverses a whip to send Shamrock hard into a corner, when he bounces back into a power slam for a 2 count, followed by another fireman carry takeover, before going for a double leg takedown that puts them in the ropes, so the ref breaks it up. Owen then runs down to attack Ken, choking him out, so the ref calls for the bell and the disqualification. Post-match, Steve Blackman then runs out, delivering a bicycle kick to Dan, which sends Hart bailing to the floor as well. And Shamrock starts yelling at his attackers, only for Steve to try to restrain him, which brings Ken's ire. So he nails Blackman with a belly-to-belly suplex. But Steve returns the favor as officials make their way out to calm everyone, to no avail for Shamrock as he starts pounding his head on the ring step.
That'll teach everybody.
This is fine, but the takeaway is that Ken Shamrock is still intense, and that's what we like about him.
Yep, Ken's going fucking crazy.
JR sends it to the back where Mankind is out of the ambulance and rolling a stretcher around as we head to commercial.
Yeah, I love that Mankind is rolling that stretcher. He didn't lift it up, so he's just kind of bent over and pushing it to the back. But there's 2 EMTs that have been knocked onto the floor, in the Foreground is, not the background, the foreground. While he's like off to the back, just like, looks like a kid pushing a toy monster truck around.
And we come back to Foley rolling down the ramp on a gurney with a bag in hand before taking a mic to say he's in shock that the brothers were in cahoots all along. He should have believed McMahon.
It made me so happy to see him going down the ramp on that gurney because I haven't seen that in so long, and that's a vivid memory I have from 1990s WWF.
Yeah, and he really does take it straight into the bottom of that ring. It's like, man, you landed hard. If he was
Titus O'Neil, he would have shot completely under.
Yeah.
Mankind claims he has a chance for redemption and looks upward towards the cage, knowing he will get his ass kicked by Kane. And what kind of idiot would want to go back into the cell, a place that nearly ended his career? He is that kind of idiot.
Yeah.
And Foley continues, he will go all the way to the top to slam that big burnt bastard through and onto 7,000 thumbtacks. And if things go his way, we'll make a little bit of history. But if not, it won't be the first time he's gotten his ass kicked in Philly.
Call back.
Easy dub. I love that he says we're making the world's largest pincushion.
Ross then sends it to footage from King of the Ring and the last Hell in a Cell match, followed by Sable making her way to the ring as we head to break. Only for us to come back to Sable being the ring announcer for our second match. Kurrgan with Sable and the Oddities of Golga, Luna Vachon, and Giant Silva versus Marvelous Marc Mero.
I know I popped for the Oddities, and then the match happened. I was like, oh yeah, I remember the Oddities. And then I remembered that a guy that I love and respect is playing an imbecile with like a brown mask on wearing a Cartman t-shirt. Damn.
Don't say his name yet.
Poor guy. I won't say his name.
So last time we saw Kurrgan was at Raw, March 30th, 1998, episode 297. Luna at Unforgiven in Your House, episode 300. And Golga at Bass at the Beach, 1996, episode 208. Who was he?
I mean, I know him as Earthquake, but at this point he was the Shark?
No.
He was actually just John Tenta.
He's not a shark. He's John.
Okay.
My name's John.
Okay, so this was...
But you've gotten all this good shit.
Yeah. He got to just be John Tenta for a second. I forgot about that.
Yep.
I will be honest, and I did not know that was...
Did you not?
I did not know it was John Tenta.
When the Oddities came out, I was like, Golga is John Tenta, right? Because I watched that Dark Side of the Ring from a couple years ago, and that's when I learned that.
I never watched that one.
And, I mean, it's not that dark.
No.
It's just like, this guy is...
His is more sad because it's like everything ended so suddenly for him, and he had potential to do more. I didn't realize
but
he was only
not
like 40 when he passed away.
Yeah, but by no means was he like a bad guy. Or like, when it's like, he was a
He
good
kept
guy.
waiting for his moment, and everything just got taken from him because of cancer and whatnot.
Yeah, but so I was like, so when he came out, I looked it up again to make sure that I remembered that, and then it bummed me out because I'm like, oh man, I know the jumping around the ring thing was silly, but the guy was an athlete and had a presence, but he was just came to the WWF to be a foil for Hogan, like plenty of guys. He's just kind of one of the more likable ones from that era.
Yeah, and he, honestly, as Golga, he looks to be in perhaps the best shape that he'd been in because he looked much slimmer than his Shark and...
That's why I had to look it up. His body
days.
was different looking. Like
that's the reason why I had no clue that it was him.
Yeah.
But we should also mention congratulations to him.
Oh yes,
He's
a Hall of Famer.
Him and Tugboat are going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Oh, Tugboat.
Oh,
I was like,
yes.
Yeah.
The Natural Disasters.
Natural Disasters, yeah.
Tugboat, Typhoon, they're all the same person.
Shockmaster.
We then get footage from last week's Raw, where Sable and Jackie had an arm wrestling match, only for Miss Jacqueline to just shove the table onto Sable and attack with a trophy.
To the ire of the crowd, of course.
Marc then takes the mic to ask Kurrgan to get all the freaks out of here and fight one-on-one. So the Oddities leave to the back, leaving only Sable as the manager. And Kurrgan takes some right hands, only to absorb them, before blocking and reversing a turnbuckle smash. Mero is then taken down by a clothesline, allowing Kurrgan to do some dancing, which Sable does as well from ringside.
She dances back a little bit. I don't know if her feet moved, but...
No. Just all shoulder shimmy.
I mean, yeah, that's how I dance too. Like...
Marc avoids a running knee in a corner and delivers strikes, but nothing works, running into a bear hug and a side slam. All of a sudden, someone, and I mean, we know it's Jackie, but the announcers don't, jump out of the crowd and attack Sable, while Kurrgan double choke lifts Mero inside the ring.
And what's funny is that she's wearing like a Spencer's Gift, like Rasta hat with like fake dreads hanging out of it, and it just kind of falls off her head immediately. They're like, oh, I mean, you know, you're black. We'll just put the Rasta hat on you.
Exactly.
Miss Jacqueline's choking Sable when Marc punches down low for a disqualification, which brings the Oddities rushing back out to help, so Mero and Jackie escape through the crowd.
And to this, I say, sure.
Yep.
That all happened.
Yeah. Remember when her and Luna hated each other a few weeks ago, and now they're dancing in the ring with Oddities?
Yep, I'm sure Luna loved all of that. I imagine that she's being paid more, but I think that she'd be, if all things were equal, she'd be preferring to tear it up with Stevie Richards in a cage.
Yeah. I think we'd all prefer that for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
JR and Lawler talk the hell in a cell for a moment before we go backstage, where X-Pac has a cameraman follow him into a locker room, where he proceeds to piss into someone's boots as we go to commercial.
Yeah, I got a big kick out of this.
Yep.
Because X-Pac is kind of infamous for doing ribs like that in the back. So this is the TV projecting real life, because I believe he at one point shit in Sable's bag, but he would dump in people's like duffel bags and like piss in people's shoes and stuff.
Orton took that over for him, huh?
It's a tradition. Orton at least has the excuse of growing up around that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still
the excuse and the protection of I'm a legacy.
Yeah.
I am legacy.
Sean Waltman, you know, he's just a party guy.
Yeah. He's just the kid that hung around.
But we come back to our third match, Southern Justice of Dennis Knight and Marc Cantebury versus the New Age Outlaws of Road Dogg Jesse James, Badass Billy Gunn, and Road Warrior Hawk is at the commentary booth, acting drunk as Ross and the King run through sponsors, and he starts telling a story about 1986 with Lawler, while Road Dogg's having trouble speaking himself to do their entrance. Jeff Jarrett then makes his way to ringside without boots on him. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I love the zoom in on him in socks.
And he grabs the mic, but it doesn't work, so he steals the headset off Hawk, telling JR to get X-Pac out here right now, that he's tired of his childish antics.
And the crowd just tells him to suck it.
And as the conversation's going on, Badass and Cantebury lock up, with Marc nailing a facebuster, followed by Knight hitting an elbow drop for a 2 count.
Weren't these guys brothers at one point for like a decade? Southern Justice. It's like they were
cousins.
Oh, okay. So they could have different last names.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now they have different last names, and they did have the same last name, but were cousins.
Gunn changes the momentum somehow as the camera was on Double J, allowing him to tag in James for quick jabs and a shuffle right for a near fall. Dennis fights back with strikes and headbutts before a vertical suplex as Cantebury comes over to make sure everything is okay with Jarrett. And Knight's distracted as well, so Badass jumps in the ring to deliver a pile driver, with Road Dogg making the cover for the pin
And the win.
Post-match, the cameraman's filming Double J's feet, which pisses him off. So he snaps and shaves the cameraman's head, with Southern Justice holding him, all while the Road Warrior continues to slur his words on commentary.
And yeah, Road Warrior on commentary, I didn't even realize
It was him.
It was him. And he was like, I don't know if he was quiet or off, not up on the mic, but it's like, what was a headset?
Yeah.
So unless he like
Just
just
the
bent
headset
it
turned
back.
away, something.
Yeah, maybe he was wearing on one ear, but like he was much quieter than the other guy.
Because we were sitting here before talking about this segment, trying to figure out who the guy was, not realizing it was fucking Hawk the entire time. Because
And we should know. We should be able to tell.
should have, but he looks different now, and I guess I've never seen him drunk before.
Maybe he didn't start his sentence with,
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if he did, it was too far away from the microphone that was pulled away from his face.
But yeah, we are at this point. I'm realizing after the hair shaving, it's like every match is like
Dusty.
it's like we are. This is
the go-home show for a pay-per-view.
also, but it's the full. It feels like we're in, and we probably have been for a little while.
Full
but
Russo.
Full Russo. It's like this is Crash TV, bro.
Yep.
And like it's like.
Just you wait. Crash will be appearing soon.
Yeah. But yeah, at this point, like that was my big note after this match with the head shaving. I was like, oh, like we've been feeling it, but I've never felt it so strongly as I have like after the like third match of the show where I'm like, okay, I know exactly where we are.
Yeah, we got drunk warriors and boot pissing and sock wearing and head shaving all within like a 7-minute span.
And oddities.
Yeah.
That's not a Vince idea.
Kane and Undertaker are walking in the back as we head to break. And we come back to the cell lowering for our fourth match. Kane with Undertaker versus Mankind in a Hell in a Cell match. And Foley tries to climb as soon as he gets to the cage, only for officials to attempt to hold him back. So Mankind destroys all of them with right hands and throwing them into the cage.
He's a man possessed.
The Big Red Machine comes out to the cell door, but Mankind rams it into him multiple times before nailing a running knee. And Foley walks around the outside of the cage to grab some chairs, tossing them, or at least trying to the top of the cell, because he misses a couple times and the steel almost hits the king on the bounce back. As
I think the second one almost hit Lawler, or at least Lawler had to move out of the way because he drops out on commentary for a second, and Jim Ross checks on him. He's like, "Oh, you all right?" But
and Mankind finally just starts climbing.
Fuck
and
it.
The dead man would pull him off right through the Spanish announce table.
And then we get Austin chants because the people, that's all they really want.
They know.
Kane collects Foley and rams his head into the cage, using part of the broken table, followed by dragging him back to the door, where he slams the cell door around Mankind's head. And Foley's rolled into the ring with the cage being locked, as the Big Red Machine tosses the steel steps into the ring to drive several times onto Mankind. Kane then flies out of the ring with a plancha before rolling back in to grab the ring steps again, while Foley has disappeared under the ring. So when the Big Red Machine throws the steel, there's no one there.
I mean, he did just crack him over the head with it. I'd be hiding under the ring too.
And Mankind reappears on the other side with a chair and a bag, cracking the steel over the head and back of Kane, followed by dropping tacks out of the bag. And the Big Red Machine's recovered to knock Foley down right into the tacks, before going for a chokeslam, only for Mankind to counter with the mandible claw. Kane then breaks free and they exchange strikes, until Foley is able to deliver a piledriver onto the tacks. And Mankind staggers his way up the turnbuckle, with the Big Red Machine again recovering to belt him with the chair over the head, followed by a chokeslam. Kane then picks up Foley for the tombstone, but no cover, as Taker calls for the finish. So the Big Red Machine picks up the chair to smash over the head of Mankind several times.
It's like not the finish. He wants him to finish him.
Finish him.
Yeah, it's like the finish would have been the tombstone, but it's like no. We're trying to put this guy in the hospital, which is basically where he should sleep at this point anyway.
Yeah.
Kane picks Foley up again for another tombstone, this time onto the steel, when Austin would come out from under the ring to stomp a mud hole in the big red machine. And Undertaker climbs to the top of the cage, with Stone Cold flipping him off, before returning to the punishment of Kane with chair shots and a stunner.
I love that Undertaker knows exactly what to do because of the previous Hell in a Cell match where he's like, I know I can get through the top of this cage because I dumped Mankind through it. So if I get to the center of the cage, I can push it down and slide in and save my bro from this evil hillbilly. But I liked that a lot. It's also just funny to think of Austin hanging out underneath the ring for an extended period of time.
And the dead man's kicking his way into the cell when it begins to raise, as we see Mr. McMahon at the controls.
Bum, bum, bum.
He's pulling an old Ole.
Ole Anderson.
And the Big Red Machine staggers back to his feet, only to eat another stunner, followed by Austin walking to the back, as is announced to be a no contest, as we go to commercial. And we come back to the cage, having been lowered back down with the brothers inside the ring. And Taker has a mic to say he's given Stone Cold too much respect. That what you just did proves you are a coward. There was no provocation for jumping Kane, and doing so sealed your fate. It's no longer about SummerSlam. This is personal. And you will come face to face with your destiny tonight.
Bum, bum, bum.
Ross and King then discuss what we just saw when Chyna makes her way to the ring. So JR sends it to footage from last week's Raw where the Nation ganged up on Triple H using a ladder to beat him down.
And I was like, why did they do the cage at the fourth match? And we got our answer. Because they're promising us at the top of the next hour, Undertaker and Stone Cold, and probably Kane as well, will interact again, but blows. We gotta sell this SummerSlam.
Yep.
The Rock then comes out with Chyna wanting him in the ring, but he pauses and just stares her down. When the rest of the Nation would arrive with a ladder, setting it up in the ring as Chyna backs away.
Crazy to see Chyna not wearing all black.
Yes, she's finally in her female era.
Yeah.
She's getting a little more girly as the weeks go by.
Yeah,
wearing a little more scantily clad, brighter colors.
Yeah, it was just kind of like
She's got boobs.
surprising because she's always had those, but or I don't know about always, but she's had them since we've seen her. It was just when I think of her always wearing all black, and that's what we've seen her wear up until now. So it stood out.
Rocky tells her that she wants to act like a big shot and call The Rock out. Well, here's the people's champ. But he does believe this is all a setup, so that DX can come out and rip his $500 shirt. Only that's not going to happen, as Rocky's one step ahead. And The Rock points at the Titantron to see a forklift blocking DX's door before discussing his match with Hunter at SummerSlam. That he's going to climb the damn ladder rung by damn rung to grab his damn belt and prove he's the best damn IC champ.
Damn.
I know he should. He owes. I guess Ron Simmons hasn't reached his damn.
No.
Maybe Ron Simmons owes The Rock money for his dams, but The Rock doesn't need any more money.
And Rocky moves on to Chyna. That she's looking at him with those bedroom eyes. And he knows she's frustrated, getting tense every time she's around him. So Rock propositions to her, if she's lucky, he will give it to her tonight, if she can smell what The Rock's cooking.
Gross.
Chyna then charges at Rocky, but gets held back by the Nation. When The Rock says she looks good on her knees, that she has had this coming for some time, followed by going to kiss her, only to stop and state that there's no way he would ever kiss a piece of trash like that.
I know it's kind of upsetting. Chyna's doing a good job of looking upset, but maybe she was, because I can't imagine being asked to do this. I know it's wrestling, but it's like, this sucks. You're just demeaning me in front of like a sold-out Madison Square Garden live on television.
Rocky then calls over Mark Henry, telling him to give her the thrill of her life. So Mark goes to kiss her. when Shawn Michaels would run down with a chair to send all of the nation, except Henry, scattering. The Heartbreak Kid smashes the steel over Marc's head to make the save before dancing on the announce table as we head to break.
Yeah, Brocky loses his damn mind. But, yeah.
We haven't seen Michaels since WrestleMania 14, episode 296. And we come back to DX, who's been released from their locker room, looking for the nation outside of the parking lot, followed by footage from what just happened. And Shawn now joins JR and the King for our 5th match. Taka Michinoku with Yamaguchi-san and Kyoko versus Val Venis. And Val takes the mic to let everyone know that you can forget about Pat's cheesesteaks and try the big Valboski, because I got more meat than your buns can handle.
Oh.
So a little catch up on what's going on with Kane and Venis. After Val rescued Kyoko from a paddling, the group would proceed to chop up a salami as they shouted, "I choppy your pee-pee," towards Venis.
Pretty infamous angle.
We're officially in it. Yeah, we're there.
We're there. We're definitely there. They don't really show any of that footage because I think they're even embarrassed by it. And that's in 1998, where
Dick and
as
fart
soon
jokes
as
were the thing.
as soon as this show is over, we're going like straight to Girls Gone Wild commercials. So like that's the era.
Silk stockings.
The next week, Michinoku would team with Val against his former foes, only to turn against Venis, as Kyoko is his sister. Kane would drag him backstage, and as the show was going off the air, they held a samurai sword high in the air, only for the lights to go off.
Wait, so the idea is that this is incest, or he was just playing it as his wife?
No, she is.
Taka turns against Val because Kyoko
is his sister. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Not Yamaguchi's sister.
No.
That would be too perverse.
Yeah, McMahon only wants those storylines for himself.
Yeah. Good point.
Val would return a couple weeks later and explain that the sword narrowly missed due to the lights being turned off by John Wayne Bobbitt.
Oh, Jesus.
And he broke off his relationship with Kyoko.
Cue the Weird Al cover of You know, the
Crash Test Dummies?
Yeah, there's the
He
Weird
gets a song?
The Weird Al does a cover, but it's about the John and Lorraine Bobbitt.
I have
And
not heard
honestly,
that one.
as somebody who's not the world's biggest Weird Al fan, maybe one of his better songs.
And see,
Or funnier songs,
I've
where it's
heard
like laugh out loud funny.
tons of Weird Al stuff, but I've never heard his John. Yeah, I've never heard this one, so I might have to look it up afterwards.
I would say that it's actually funny. I respect Weird Al, but it doesn't always make me laugh.
So the match gets going as Taka attacks Venis before the bell, only for Val to respond with a pair of corner clotheslines. But Michinoku ducks a third attempt to land a spinning wheel kick and a drop kick that sends Venis to the floor.
It's funny to think of. I don't think of Val. I think of him as the guy with the towel that makes dick jokes. But it's you always forget how ripped he is, and then also how much he can do in the ring.
Yeah.
Taka follows out with an Asai moonsault before going for a baseball slide, only for Val to avoid and throw Michinoku back into the ring, where Venis goes for a release German. But Taka flips out and attempts a hurricanrana, which Val reverses into a powerbomb. And Venis heads up top to fly off with a money shot, as Triple H makes his way to the ring with a chair, blasting Val with the steel, causing a disqualification.
Crash TV. No need for this, but I guess we have to show that Triple H is pissed. He has nothing against Val Venis.
Nope, he's just there to fuck some shit up.
Yeah, he wants his voice heard.
Post-match, Hunter would also smash the chair over Michinoku's head before taking the mic to state that The Rock has crossed the line, and at SummerSlam, his role will be clear. His bitch.
Yeah.
Jared then talks Undertaker and Austin, followed by plugging what's still to come on the show. And we get footage of Gangrel waiting in the back as we go to commercial.
And it's just a shot of him behind the building with his tongue out. with like sunglasses on. He just kind of
holding his goblet of blood.
yeah.
We then come back to our sixth match, Gangrel versus X-Pac. So Gangrel had been around for like a couple weeks. Like he had debuted on like Sunday Night Heat a few weeks prior to this. So this is like only like the second or third time that people had seen him on TV at this point.
I mean, we all remember him, but like we haven't seen, from doing this show, we haven't seen any like vignettes or anything. Maybe they didn't even do any. Maybe he just showed up. But Gangrel looms large in my mind as from this time period, and also another king of Sunday Night Heat, which I think just started.
It actually only debuted like a month earlier as well.
Yeah, because they talk about the first Sunday Night Heat a lot on the show through commentary, and that I think it was at Madison Square Garden, and they talk about the people that were on it. And it's like, that's not the Sunday Night Heat that I remember.
No, Sunday Night Heat originally, I think, was intended to be this legit show.
It was going to be our... Like,
yeah, because Shotgun Saturday Night gets canceled pretty much right after this as well. Like, it doesn't have much of a life left
yeah.
in it. And they moved just to Sunday Night Heat.
And then a couple years
And obviously it's filmed live before pay-per-views, but most of the other times it's filmed after Raw.
Yeah. So it like, right, the way they're talking about it now, it feels like it's your SmackDown.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, well, we know where this goes. But that first show, they definitely blew it up big.
Oh, yeah.
As they should.
So the vampire attacks as soon as the kid's in the ring, only for X-Pac to answer back with a spinning heel kick, but he then charges right into a power slam and a spine buster. Gangrel heads up top for a flying splash, only for the kid to move in time, as we see Edge hanging out in the crowd.
So Gangrel's shown up, but we are not at the faction yet.
No.
I'll save the name, but you all know it.
X-Pac with a series of kicks, setting the vampire up for the Bronco Buster, when Jeff Jarrett would come down, breaking guitar over the head of the kid, causing the disqualification.
Exploded that fucker.
Oh, cool. Another disqualification. This was a great guitar shot because there was no powder in it, and it still looked brutal.
Yep.
Which was nice. The powder is always kind of like, I don't know if anybody's picked up an acoustic guitar before, but they're typically not filled with powder.
I mean, I never got to break the one that I had, so maybe it's inside of the wood and it just,
yeah.
when it shatters, but yeah. One day.
Post-match, Triple H and Chyna run down to chase off Double J before helping X-Pac to the back. Gangrel is then attacked by Edge, who flies in off the top rope with a clothesline, followed by a facebuster and a spear.
Ooh, old school Edge spears are not good.
Edge bounces the head of the vampire on the mat several times until officials come down to break them up, as Gangrel just laughs.
Yeah, it was nice to see him laugh it off. It's nice to see Gangrel with some energy.
Yes.
He's also one of those guys that he's in shape, but the shape of his head, and I hate to say it, but he's a really ugly man.
Mm-hmm.
You just assume he's a fat guy, but I don't think he's ever been a fat guy. He's just kind of got like Greg Valentine proportions.
He's got that bloat face.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's the blood. There's too much iron in his diet or something.
I mean, I would believe it if he was like the illegitimate son of Greg Valentine, but that means that Greg Valentine had sex with a dog, because Gangrel's uglier than Greg Valentine.
I mean, we've heard the arguments of the ladies in wrestling talking about fucking Greg Valentine. So
maybe he got the rat runoff.
Maybe he's just literally got the hammer.
Maybe.
Gangrel always intrigued me, but then at the same time, he never made sense because they were moving away from that cartoon era and getting into this edgier thing where your hog farmers are becoming, badass Southern Justice guys, but now you're bringing in a vampire.
Yeah, and also it's like, three's a crowd. We have Undertaker, we have Kane. Like, where does Gangrel fit in? Directly at the mid card.
Yes.
And it's like, there's no way he could eclipse them or join their ranks, but we all remember him. So there was something there. It just wasn't the right time or place. But I love him.
We go backstage to see the Brawl for All finalists warming up.
Hell yeah.
We then cut to Undertaker pushing a casket as we go to break.
The largest casket I've ever seen. It's the Kamala casket.
Yep.
We then come back to Kevin Kelly and Dr. Tom Pritchard in the back in the WWF.com room, with JR telling everyone to log on for Code Red right after Raw.
Pre-Mountain Dew.
So is that their Raw talk back in the day?
Basically.
Yeah.
Code Red.
So we go to our 7th match. Bradshaw versus Bart Gunn in the Brawl for All finals. And Ross sends us to a look at how they each made it to this match, making it time for the Stridex Triple Action. The Texan took down Marc Cantebury, while Bart knocked out Dr. Death Steve Williams.
My God.
And the Godfather.
My God.
So, Bradshaw only just had to have one match?
It's the only one that they showed a highlight of.
Because Bart Gunn put both of these men
Bart Gunn was supposed to be out in the first round. So
Bart Gunn put turned both of these guys like light switch off in these clips. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Williams was the favorite to win the tournament.
I mean, yeah.
With WWF looking forward towards a match between him and Austin being very lucrative.
A lot of that has to do with JR, because JR was a big fan of Dr. Death, a big fan of Oklahoma football. He's friends with him. He'd been trying to bring him in for a long time. What
if we would have got that battle and we would have finally had Steve Williams versus Steve Williams for a battle of the Steve Williamses?
There are reports even that Williams was paid the prize money before the tournament even started.
That's how confident they were? It's like, he's... Okay, yeah. All right.
And the last time we saw Dr. Death was at Crossing the Line Again, episode 239.
Mm-hmm.
Crossing the line again.
I think I didn't hate him in that one, I don't think. I might be wrong. I don't know.
He's one of those guys where it's like the Japanese stuff is the only stuff you want to see, because anytime we've seen him on any of these shows, we're like, we want to like Dr. Death, Steve Williams, but we are...
Wait, Crossing Line is ECW, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Making sure I was remembering right.
So the two men stare each other down while the ref gives the rules, followed by the bell ringing, and they come out swinging. When Gunn catches Bradshaw with a pair of left hands, and down goes the Texan. And the ref makes a standing 8 count, asking Bradshaw if he's okay. Which
he nods.
He nods, but it doesn't seem like
he nods, but he doesn't know what he's doing.
I mean, he's got...
He's like, words?
Concussion.
Words.
He's got shark eyes.
Uh-huh.
But he nods his head, and the fight's back on. Only for Bart to deliver a left and a right.
Immediately, right on the button.
That knocks the Texan out.
And it is nasty. He falls flat and just eats the mat. He's lucky he didn't lose a tooth.
Post-match, the doctors at ringside have to bring out the smelling salts to wake Bradshaw.
And it's really embarrassing because, like, as they're doing all of that, the camera is close up on his face and he is completely out to lunch while they're talking to him. But the camera is, like, as tight as it could possibly be on his face with, like, the doctor there and, like, putting the smell salsa's face, and he's just like...
Yeah, he just looks like that dog that just got kicked by a horse. It's just
Yeah, his head's bobbling like a newborn. Insane shit. It was murder. He was murdered.
So this would make Gunn a star, right?
You would think so. I never gave a shit about Bart Gunn. Now I think he might be the coolest fucking dude on the planet. This fucking rules.
See, for me, Bart Gunn stood out for the longest time, and I was waiting for him to have his moment.
And unfortunately, it was here.
Yeah.
But even the other knockouts from the clips that we saw were also crazy. Mm-hmm. But this one was embarrassing.
Yep.
So according to an interview that Bart did, he sat at home for a month with creative saying they had nothing for him. So he went and wrestled for All Japan for the next few months before making his way back to the WWF by early 1999. Because Giant Baba, Steve Williams, is a big name in All Japan.
Yeah.
And he beat the fuck out of Dr. Death.
So Giant
Baba was like,
I've got an easy one.
I can build a storyline around this. And
well, I'm glad somebody decided they wanted to do something with him.
Yeah, I can say he knocked out Dr. Death Steve Williams in like 2 minutes or whatever it was, and like he automatically will have
credibility,
and it's real credibility.
Yeah,
I never expected Bart Gunn to be this much of a badass. Those punches were so hard.
I don't remember ever seeing this finale or the clips of the Bart stuff before, but holy fuck. Yeah, he's
awesome.
Yeah, he's just a good old boy. Just meaning no harm, but here comes that hook.
He must have obviously like boxed as a kid or something.
I mean, you grow up with Billy, you got to beat the shit out of him every now and then.
But it's great. I mean, I guess the idea that they don't have anything for him was maybe they were mad that he won, or maybe they were like, we just are going to forget the Brawl for All. So if we push him, we have to keep bringing up the Brawl for All, which means we might still have to continue this like shoot, this like extreme liability of doing these like shoot matches within a wrestling show, which is it's just unfortunate that this guy, his moment was being a legit badass and it not amounting to enough.
Yeah, and then they literally let him sit at home until everybody forgets about him.
Hopefully All Japan was in a decent place and Baba was able to, sure him up with some cash.
JR then sends it to Michael Cole in the back with Vince McMahon. And Michael asks, what's the answer going to be? With Mr. McMahon saying he's going to get the answer he wants, followed by threatening to throw Cole out of his office, like everybody else.
Do it.
And we come back to ringside, where mysterious chanting and blue lighting has filled the arena, when the Doctor makes his way back through the curtain. So Druids can then roll a casket to the ring before leaving to the back.
We are in the laser pointer era. We have been, but there's a couple more each show.
Undertaker then makes his way out and takes a mic to claim he will get what is rightfully his, the WWF title. He's going to do it like a man, face to face, not by jumping Austin from behind, and there's no reason to worry about Kane, who has his own agenda at SummerSlam. So this Sunday, it will be you, me, and the WWF title. But tonight, Austin, you made it personal. And when you jumped on the big red machine, you jumped on me. Followed by saying he wants Stone Cold to take a ride on the highway to hell.
Cue the AC/DC.
Vince then makes his way out, wanting his answer. Only for Taker to just stare at him. Until they look to shake hands. But Undertaker grabs McMahon by the throat and chokeslams him. All of a sudden, Austin pops out of the casket, tripping on his way into the ring, but turns it into a taunt of Vince before getting into the face of the dead man. Kane then pops out of the casket as well.
Well, how about that? They came out of the casket too.
So Stone Cold gets blindsided and hammered away as Taker just looks on.
The idea that they were both in the casket and one didn't know about the other is so very funny.
But they weren't. They showed in the casket. When Austin got out of there, you could only see the bottom of the casket.
I mean, the casket is like 6 feet tall. It's crazy. But it's like, but even if they were both in there and one was like below the other in like a trap door or whatever, the idea they couldn't hear him like breathing in there. It's like, there's not a lot of, like, that's a big boy to be hidden in this casket.
Austin's able to escape to the floor and grabs a chair and paces around the ring, followed by heading up the ramp, only for a trail of fire to chase him to the stage, leaving all three men staring each other down as JR says his goodbyes, and we fade to black. So since this episode isn't on Netflix, we had to sell the high seas to find it. So we got some extra attitude, where Stone Cold begins walking back towards the ring, with Taker telling Kane to get out of the ring. But Austin backs away again up the ramp before leaving to the back.
He's outnumbered.
Inside the ring, the two brothers pace as McMahon now leads up the ramp, joined by the Stooges to make sure he's okay. When Stone Cold comes back out, rolling Pat into the ring and smashing Briscoe's head on the casket, while Patterson gets chokeslammed by the dead man.
You know, you got to see another choke slam or a stunner before you send him home.
Austin walks back up the ramp with his 2-finger salute as we fade to black.
One quick note. It's really funny, but right before we go off air and, you know, everybody's standing on their feet with their arms in the air, there's a guy in like the first or second row, I think on the hard cam side, that lifts a very small child with like no ear protection. And it was like, 1998. It's like this kid was maybe able to crawl. That's how small it was. And it was in like it was in a onesie. Like, I was just like, this is fucking crazy. Like, that's a crazy choice to make. And I laughed about it and hoped that kid was all right.
So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of Monday Night Raw from August 24th, 1998?
It's a pretty good go-home show, but there's too much of the interference schmoz, but I'll have to digress because that's just the era we're in. It's not going away. I loved it as a kid, and I'm going to try to embrace it.
Kind of along the same lines there. It had its moments. It had its other stuff. I mean, it was a fun episode. Not a hard watch.
No.
But it's not, top 10 Raw of all time or anything like that. It just has a handful of memorable moments. The Mankind doing his surfing down the ramp on the gurney. The Bart Gunn debacle, choppy PP. Yeah, it has some stuff, but it's not must-see TV.
We've been coming up on this for a while where it's like, oh, the Attitude Era is coming. The Attitude Era coming. It's like, and I've said this a million times where I'm like, oh, it feels like we're here now. It feels like we're here now. And I'm like, now it feels like we're here. And I'll probably say it again fucking next week or whatever. But
it's like the guys from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
we're there.
Yeah, the Russo of it all, which was not a thing I was aware of as I was watching this as a kid, but is ever present through the episode, and yeah, it feels even more like it has arrived.
I mean, we're all on the same page here. There's definitely some fun moments, and for a go-home show to a pay-per-view, it works perfectly.
It gives away nothing.
Yeah. So a thumbs up for the show, but don't go out of your way to watch it.
A thumbs up, but we didn't lift our arm.
Yes,
it's just in a resting position.
Unless you are a fan,
we Orange Cassidy that thumbs up.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of seeing Bradshaw or JBL being taken down, then watch that match.
Oh, I mean, you got those.
It's worth a minute and a half.
The Bart Gunn knockouts are so sick.
It's beautiful.
They're worth just. I'm sure there's a YouTube compilation of.
I mean, it's a shame that his brother is known as Mr. Ass because now he can't be known as Mr. Fist or something like that. But
yeah, I mean, what a tag team!
Yeah,
Mr. Fist and Mr. Ass.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So, what are some of the best moments of this show? You already mentioned the gurney.
Yeah, the gurney surfing.
I mean, the Bart Gunn, he knocks him out and then does the old 1-2 right on the button. And like the first, like it's like the left hook knocks him out and he's just like falling with like the lights off and then catches the right and it's just
forces him.
Yeah, it almost looks like it was planned.
It's beautiful.
It is the biggest memory to take away from me here. But I mean, Taker, Kane, Paul Bearer, Vince McMahon, they're all doing their job. And nobody's, this isn't their best work, but it's not supposed to be because it's this go-home show. Keeping a thing going to get to the finish, so.
Mankind's promo.
Yeah.
Very good, yes.
About being an idiot.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, he's the lovable... Yeah, nobody has anything bad to say about Mick Foley on this planet.
I think McMahon was really hoping that people were going to be saying bad things about Mick Foley and Mankind, but they just keep loving him more and more.
Well, I mean, because even whether this is scripted or not, everybody knows that he's putting his body on the line because of the way he works. It's not like he's always taking the big nasty bumps from the other guy. Sometimes he's just
doing
it.
So they don't have to.
Yeah, or doing it himself. It's like he doesn't have to do a senton off of the apron to the floor. Like that's gonna hurt no matter what, whether he lands on the guy or not. So he puts himself in danger, and people respect him for it.
The rise of Evil Taka. This is the Taka that I remember. Yeah, when Taka first debuted, I forgot that he was a good guy to start off with. I just remembered him always being a part of Kai Tai. So this is the Taka that I fully remember from back in the day now. So it's good to see him where I remember him from.
I liked the Rocky China interaction.
It was good. I think that they both did a great job. He did an incredible job being a dickhead. She did an incredible job of...
It was being a dickhead with the Rocky style of charm.
Yeah, which is going to be the same thing where it's like, oh, this is why he'll have to be a face at some point.
Yeah.
But China did a really great job. Impressed me. I did not expect her to be able to sell that situation as well as she did, where like you legitimately felt your skin crawl feeling bad for her.
Well, that was a great thing about China back then was before she really started talking into the microphone, she was like Kane, where all you had were her expressions. So she got good at looking like she was pissed off, looking, like she was scared, like she was, doing all these other different things. Whereas Kane's kind of that same where with him having a mask, he has to rely on his mannerisms and, head turns and, little things like that. Where China, she's only grown into her character all this time because she started off as the badass ass kicker and now she's a little more on the vulnerable side. And
we've only seen her grimace and beat people up, and here it's like, oh, seeing any woman, no matter how jacked she is, being like bullied is not fun.
And a woman against a nation,
yeah,
it's tough.
How about most disappointing?
Oddities.
I mean, I won't even call them disappointing. They're pretty much what I remember them as.
It's not that they were disappointing. It's that I'm mostly sad for John Tenta, but like I had no interest in any of that segment, and I didn't really find it funny. It was kind of nice to see these silly guys be silly for about 30 seconds, and then I was over it. So I'm not angry, but I
mean, they're never going to be...
No.
Mistaken for work rate guys that we're going to enjoy.
No.
But the little bit of levity that they bring to the show,
that's why I said
it's enjoyable.
I because I'm not mad about it, but like I don't think anything on the show was like horrific or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why they got rid of it, because originally Jackal went from Truth Commission to Kurrgan and did the Oddities thing. And the Oddities were just more fun, and Jackal didn't really work with that, so they got rid of Jackal and put Sable with them to
help him. Yeah, give him the rub.
To give him the rub, basically.
Yeah, and then also it's like, well, this is a big era for ICP. They talk about ICP, I believe, on the show in association with the Oddities. It's 1998, baby. Going to the Dark Carnival.
Drunk Hawk. Just the fact that they have taken that character to what they have in a matter of weeks. And the fact that I didn't recognize who the fuck it was when he was out there in the first place. It's completely ruined the character of Hawk for me.
We love our work rate, so it needs to be at least mentioned. Only one match had a pinfall on this entire show.
Yeah.
Truth.
And the only other finish that we had was a knockout.
Which was sick.
But it
wasn't wrestling.
But when you have 7 matches and only 2 of them have actual finishes.
Yeah. I mean, I brought it up throughout the whole show, and like I said, I'm trying to be less critical on this Attitude Era stuff because I loved it so much as a kid and it obviously works, but it's not, when I came back to wrestling, the thing that I liked, that got me back into it is not the thing that brought me into it in like 98.
Correct.
So it's just like two different things. So I'm going to try to watch it with kid glasses, rose-colored glasses.
I'll admit that back in the 90s, if like I was watching something on like if I had to record it or something, I literally would fast forward through the actual matches and just watch the promos.
Yeah, you were here for the soap.
Yeah, 'cause, like all these matches are 2 minutes long. Like no one cares about what's happening. Vince doesn't care.
Yeah,
what's going on in the ring. Everyone's about the stories. The one that kind of made me mad the most out of all the disqualifications was the Taka Val one, because literally they'd had a feud, air quotes, feud of some sort, and literally this is it. This is the finish of it. They just move on.
Yeah.
Gets stomped out by Hunter, huh?
Like, Kai almost chopped off your penis.
And we're not going to get the curtain jerker at SummerSlam at least.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
maybe they just got away from it because they thought it was too much.
It was stupid.
It was
Don't get me
stupid.
wrong.
But it's still like
finish your feud. Like, let them finish it.
And it's not only like it might be stupid, but it's memorable and severe, as someone tried to cut someone's penis.
Because I mean, spoilers for next week. Both these people are in different matches that you like literally go, why are you in these matches?
Yeah, it's like 6 days later or whatever.
Yep.
How about best performer of the night?
Bart. It's Bart Gunn. I'm giving it to Bart Gunn because Bart Gunn
knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah,
knocked him the fuck out. He didn't feel bad about it, and he didn't
ever gonna feel bad about JBL.
No, he didn't. He didn't like oversell his win either. He just
if anything, he wasn't excited enough.
No, he walked away just looking like a true like just ass kicking man's man.
He even walked over just to give him a look, make sure he's okay, and then went about his business because JBL wasn't getting up.
He knew how hard he hit his dumb ass.
Yeah, I'm going for Bart too.
And how about most surprising?
Sean was a surprise for me.
That was the biggest surprise for me.
Because, like I said earlier in the show, when Drunk Hawk was out there, I thought it was just somebody that sounded like a drunk Shawn Michaels. And then all of a sudden, Shawn Michaels was there super kicking the rock. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it was kind of weird for Shawn Michaels to show up. And it was, people cheered and everything, but it felt almost kind of like a waste of Shawn Michaels in a way. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it.
I mean, I don't
because it worked.
I don't know if this is like the first time he's shown up since WrestleMania. It's just the first time we've seen him.
Yeah.
Because it didn't feel like that kind of pop. So it almost felt like he's been around. Maybe.
I'm trying to remember. I want to say he made occasional appearances, so this might not have been the first time. Because he's even when he got on commentary, he talked about how he used to be in DX. So
yeah, he's just kind of. Like on air, he's just a personality at this point. He's not competing.
I mean, obviously mine is John Tenta because I literally never knew that he was Golga. And when I literally looked that up and I was just all like, you guys are never going to believe that was Earthquake. And then you're both sitting here like, oh yeah, we knew. That was Earthquake.
I was because of that episode of Dark Side, because outside of that, like I read his Wikipedia back when he was being used as Earthquake while we were doing this show and stuff, and found out about him being a sumo wrestler, and I was like, this guy just seems like a good guy. And but the Golga thing didn't stick with me, even if I did read it then. But once I saw that Dark Side episode, it stuck with me and it made me sad.
Do you think South Park paid for the promotion?
I would say no, because they didn't need it. They came out hot and it was huge and the shirts were everywhere and like I remember in 5th grade, remember the like Gadzooks.
Because I honestly think it was because of Golga is the only reason I knew what South Park was.
Oh really?
Back in the day.
I knew what it was because my mom told me not to, or I was told like not to watch it or whatever, but I was older enough to where like when I was a kid.
You were younger. So.
Yeah, when I was even younger and Beavis and Butthead was a thing and whatnot, like I was told not to watch Beavis and Butthead, and I was a good kid, so I didn't when I was younger. But then, like with South Park, I was in like 5th grade, so I was like, "Well, I'm gonna watch this real quiet at night on TV." But I think South Park was so like I remember riding the bus and the bad kids on the back of the bus that were like older. One of them had this incredibly terrible. Remember the like silk like button up short sleeve like Gadzooks shirts that would be like blue flames or a dragon.
Oh yeah.
He had one that had all the South Park kids on it. And
Nice.
It was so funny. I think about that stupid shirt all the time. Hope that kid's not dead, even though he was a dickhead.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
Uh-oh.
This week, the category is What's in a Name?
It's just a name, a name, a name, a name. What's in a name?
John Tenta.
Marc Cantebury.
Dennis Farina. What's Dennis?
Dennis Knight.
Yeah, they didn't even say his name in the episode. At least I couldn't catch it because I was like, wait a second. I remembered Marc Cantebury, but yeah, I couldn't catch the other name.
So 5 points if you get it correct, 3 points if we go to multiple choice.
Okay.
I will give you the real name of a wrestler. You give me that wrestler's name. The name I will give you is Yoshihiro Asai. Shane.
I'm going to say that is Ultimo Dragon.
That is correct.
That's a good guess.
I only know that because I remember an episode where they talked about how his acai moonsault is named after him.
That's correct.
Yeah, you nailed it. That was great.
Next week, SummerSlam 1998.
98. Oh, the Highway to Hell. We're almost there.
I mean, SummerSlams and
The heat
WrestleManias
is on.
are my favorite shows because I famously am not the world's biggest Rumble fan, and I'm famously not the world's biggest Survivor Series fan, and I like
What the fuck's wrong with you?
singles matches, and I know they're not always singles matches, but I love a non-gimmick wrestling match. Or like non-gimmick show, I guess. I don't know. They just are the ones that I typically walk away from with.
SummerSlam, the
Stuff
hottest
like-
ticket of the summer. The heat is on, the Highway to Hell.
Yeah.
The match made in heaven, the match made in hell. When nuptials turn to napalm. Never a gimmick at SummerSlam.
No, I mean, like, you know, there's not, like, SummerSlam doesn't mean there's going to be a certain type of match.
Taker versus Taker.
There's gimmicks, but I'm saying, like, the Survivor Series,
I know.
there's like 50 people on the apron.
Yeah.
And then Royal Rumble, like, Rumble matches
There's
are
sometimes 50 people on the apron.
Yeah,
again.
they're not typically exciting for me because there's not a whole lot of wrestling in that hour long that you have to watch. With SummerSlam, I'm going to get probably a lot of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's one of, like, that and WrestleMania are my two favorite WWF annual shows.
Are you ready for 2 nights of SummerSlam when
No.
it moves to a dual show?
Wrestling shows are too long.
Yeah.
AEW pay-per-views are like 7 hours. WWE pay-per-views are like 6 hours. It's crazy. I hate it. I absolutely despise it. But
Yep.
I still watch them from time to time.
Music from this week's show is We're All in This Together by Jim Johnston. And Bart Gunn won our main event.
Woo!
And he was coming out to the Brawl for All theme.
Poor guy can't even
Jim
get his own
Johnston.
fucking music. They won't even play his Smoking Guns.
I mean, I don't know if either of them had intro music because this was a fight. Which is crazy to be like, it's a wrestling show, but this is a real fight. Which is probably why they told Bart to stay at home.
And if you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there and rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcast at. Do as the Bible says.
5 stars or no stars. Do it for Bart Gunn.
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Where are we going next? We're going to New York City. New York City!
get a rope.
Yeah. I don't even know where I was going with that. I was going to say, give me some ideas for New York, but I want to know, what was your thoughts on the Brawl for All? Did you watch it? Which was your favorite match throughout the series of it? Have you seen all of Bart Gunn's knockouts? Because if you have not, I'm telling you, he knocked out 2 of my favorites to hate on. Old Dr. Death and old Bradshaw. So if you have not seen it, gotta go watch those clips and just watch him take their fucking head off.
Yeah, I mean, JBL is like just a truly unlikable guy.
Yep. Some guy who wants to talk shit and come down there and try and beat the shit out of people when he wants to, got his ass handed to him. By Bart Gunn of all people.
I bet it still keeps JBL up at night from time to time.
But you can do any of those things to our email at WrestlingHistoryX@gmail.com or find us on X at WrestlingHistoX. That's WrestlingHistoX. We'll talk to you next week.
I don't remember how the music goes, so I'll just say laters. We miss you, Bart.